E3 is done, so let's jump in and have a little rant. So another year is done and it is finished. E3, the highs, the lows, the cringe, and yes, there was a fair amount announced. So I printed pretty much everyone's games that they've announced across the conferences. But the thing is, a lot of them are on each other's consoles, so I've not put them into the dedicated exclusive categories. But I just want to run through them, have a few stabs at some things that I like, some things that I hate, and just an idea of who could have done better over the conferences. So, and these games are in no particular order, and on top of it, the conferences aren't in order, it's just as I wrote them down. So, first of all though, I hope everyone enjoyed E3. It was good this year to actually have all, both Xbox, PlayStation and the Switch, so I could go in and just go, I can enjoy everything. I didn't get to watch the PlayStation 1 live, thanks for it being like 2 o'clock in the morning, but I woke up and watched that. I watched the Xbox One live, the EA one I drifted in and out, and the Ubisoft one I watched live, so I pretty much watched it all as it happened. But nonetheless, I want to jump in then with Xbox and talk about some of the games that they actually announced. So I apologise if I'm looking down a lot during this video, but let's start off with Anthem, which is the biggest surprise. It's EA's title, and that is a game I knew nothing about, didn't expect it, and that's what I want from E3. A lot of the times it's just a time to showcase off what you've already announced, and it's a bit more fleshed out. But it was very nice to see Anthem because it looks glorious. Obviously it was running on the... oh no! Was it running? No, I think Anthem was running on Scorpio. Another thing that they announced wasn't actually running on Scorpio, or Xbox One X as we now like to call it. But nonetheless, Anthem looked really, really good. We've got PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds now coming to Xbox, which I think is coming to PlayStation as well, but I assume Xbox is going to get early because of the early access program, which is great news. I knew it was coming. Well, I expected it to be coming. We still haven't got any dates yet, which is annoying because it's one of them ones, if they say, yes, it's coming, but it's going to be 12 months away, then I'm going to commit and buy it on PC. If it's not, if it's around the corner, I can wait. So I'm just going to hold on a little bit longer to find out exactly how long I've got to wait for this early access build. They've shown us some Sea of Thieves, which is something I think they did good with Sea of Thieves. I was worried they was going to kind of sit on it for like 15 minutes. I'm like, I've already been sold by it, I've played the beta, I enjoy it, I don't want you to just keep showing it us. But they just showed us some new stuff that they've added in. For instance, you can fire yourself out of cannons, which is awesome, and it shows it's not just a case of map reading, there's also riddles on the maps that you got to do. So yes, what they shown was enough to whet my appetite and go, yes, I really, really want to play this game. And then they left it there, which I think was really, really good. They announced the Crackdown 3, which is weird. Crackdown 3 is a title I was super excited for, and mainly because they shown us last E3 or E3 before that. I know they've been dangling that carrot for a bit of time now, but when they shown it as, I was talking about it's going to be using the power of cloud computing. So it's shown you as originally a building collapsing, and it was saying this is going to be rendered on these Azure servers, and then it's going to actually be sent to you. So therefore the calculations that can be done is going to be much higher on the servers, so the destruction can be fucking ridiculous. And they shown us these buildings collapsing and everything looked brilliant, and made me go, yes, 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 I want it. And then when they shown it as at this E3, it was so lackluster. It was the they did come out and say it was just the actual campaign, the story mode, offline mode, if you will, and it's not the actual crazy mode. But it made me go, why show the weakest part of the game? And it then made me start to question things. And they announced with the game, if you buy the game, included is online mode. And I was like, well, why say it? There's a fly. Anyway, getting sidetracked by fly. But the way they worded it sounded like this mode isn't there forever. And it made me realise it probably won't be, because yes, online modes die occasionally, they turn the servers off, but this isn't just turning off a matchmaking server. This is a big fucking data centre that is going to be running all this cloud computing just so people can blow bricks apart. Now, that at one point is going to have to be turned off because it's going to be incredibly expensive to run these servers, which means if the play base isn't there after a year or two, they're going to die. So it's made me gone, ugh, like that's upset me a little bit. And the other thing is the destruction isn't available offline, which, like, I never really questioned it. I've never thought about it, and it completely makes sense. Yes, it's not going to be offline because you need to be online for the servers to power it. But the other thing is, obviously, they've got the co-op mode that you can be doing, but it looks like the co-op mode won't have the destruction because the co-op will be storer, which again makes sense because when you've played the original Crackdown 1, for instance, there was a massive like 40-story high-rise and you had to go through fighting 400 enemies to get to the top to fight the boss. Good fun. But if you could just blow the bottom of the building out and kill 400 enemies and take the boss out at the same time, it means that you could quickly complete missions. So I understand why they don't want that offline. But it's kind of tainted me now because I had the idea of me and my friends running around just doing all this crazy shit in co-op, and it's not going to be there, it's going to be online. And I've got a funny feeling that online is going to consist of matchmaking of about 10 people, but it means you can't have private lobbies. Now this is me surmising all the way here, but I can't see you and your friend just going, we're going to go online but in a private lobby to just blow up this map, because the server is not going to go, right, we'll just allocate these 2 prats to blow up this entire map, because why have all these resources just for 2 people? You want to get as many people in to max the servers out. So I'm sure the matchmaking is going to force you into a lobby with 10 other people, and they might be a bunch of dickheads and you don't want to be playing with them. So like I said, I can understand why it works that way, but it's made me go, this might not be the game I'm super excited for. And on top of it, what they shown looked okay at best, should we say. Now, I know games aren't about graphics, but when they're announcing the Xbox One X and saying, look what it can do, and then they give us like a cel-shaded kind of game, and with no destruction as well, it made me go, oh, you've kind of gone a bit limp on that. So Crackdown is one of them ones I'm a bit meh about. On top of it, we've got Metro Exodus, which looks fucking fantastic, and I believe that was actually running on a high-end PC rig, from what I've read on the internet, and it wasn't running on Xbox One X, but that looks very, very nice. Assassin's Creed Origins, it's Assassin's Creed, I'm not particularly bothered, but it looks like they've fleshed it out now, and it feels like they're doing more, which is good. We got Shadow of War, I'm buying it no matter what. The last one was fantastic. I'm a bit upset that they've shown way too much of this off at E3. Like every time the conference ends and it cuts to somebody just talking, they're always showing this footage. So I've kind of shied away, and I don't like to spoil it for myself, but that game looks the tits. Then you got Forza 7, which is pretty much their only 4K baby at E3. And does it look good? Yes, it does. But this is my problem. Obviously, I've got a few more games to announce, and they're mostly indies. But this was the year of the Scorpio, the One X. And I've brought my 4K TV, and I'm ready to find out if I need to buy an Xbox One X. Obviously, I don't need to, but could they sell it to me? And the answer is no. They really didn't sell it to me whatsoever. Now, the actual hardware, the spec is brilliant. I think the price is decent. The size of it, I can't believe how small the actual console is. So everything that they've done with the console itself is perfect. But this is when they needed to show their muscles and go, look what it can do. Now, aside from actually showing off Anthem, which looked gorgeous on it, it wasn't their IP. I wanted them to have some exclusive IPs to say, bang, look, buy this console and these exclusives, and off you go. And they announced Forza. Now, there's a few problems with Forza for me. One, like I say, it looks great. The thing is, though, the surrounding area looks great. The cars not so. Now, I'm not saying they look bad. I'm saying they look on par with everything else. I think cars have been maxed out graphically now. I think we've got to a point where they all look as good as they can. So it's now making the tracks look better, the weather look more better, and actually act with water droplets land on the screen and stuff like that. And the new Forza looks pretty. But I'm driving a car at 200 miles per hour. I'm not going to be able to drink these fucking graphics in. A lot of the times I'll play things like Horizon Zero Dawn, and it is a gorgeous game. And this is a game that I can stop and smell the roses. I can actually look around and go, oh, look, this is pretty. But sometimes when I'm fighting, I'll record it, and when I watch it back, I go, it's even more beautiful than when I actually played it, because I've got a chance to stand and actually look at it instead of just fighting. So for Forza, I know if I purchased it, all I would do is just go boom, and that's it, and I wouldn't have enough time to drink in these 4K assets. So I think it's one of the weakest titles to show off the 4K capability. And the biggest kicker is when the Scorpio comes out, Xbox One, beg your pardon, when the X comes out, if you go and purchase it, you've only got Forza to buy. That's it. Now, yes, there's some games that are going to get 4K updates, like Minecraft, but fair enough. If the draw distance and everything's increased, that's good. But yeah, if I'm about to drop $450 on a console, I want to have a handful of games to justify my purchase. Now, if I walk down to my local game shop and grab this console and grab Forza, that's lackluster as fuck to me. So I am definitely not getting a Scorpio for maybe a year or so. I need these bigger titles to justify it. I think the only reason I would get a Scorpio in the next year is if my current Xbox goes pop. So yes, I'm a bit disappointed by this 4K lineup. But then they announced some indies, and we've got Ori and the Will of Wisps, which is looking gorgeous. The Ori and the Blind Forest was a fantastic game. Never actually completed the end, and I will get that done very soon. We've got Cuphead again. Cuphead comes out every time at E3, but I can't be angry because it just looks so nice, and I would definitely be purchasing that. We've got Deep Rock. That's a new title now, like some co-op kind of mining shooting game, which, to be fair, ticks a lot of boxes in my head for playing with the lads. I quite like the look of that one. We've got the Darwin Project, which is like another kind of Battlegrounds 1 versus like 8 or 20 or something like that. I don't know if they're just trying to cash in on this market at the moment. I'm not particularly bothered about that. Super Lucky Tales looks quite interesting. Not particularly bothered by it, but I'm glad they've done it because I like to see this revamp of these old kind of classic games. Especially now I've got a daughter, I want to have these kind of games made more, so she's got like a catalogue of cool shit to play as a kid. You've got The Last Night, which I've oh, Jesus Christ, I was about to say, I've completely forgotten what it is, but it's because I don't call it by that official name. I call it by that super sexy pixelated game. Now, The Last Night is the like showstopper for me, which is weird. It's a pixelated indie game, but if you've not seen it, go look at it. When it was first announced, I was like, what's this? It looks like just a crazy kind of point and click perhaps pixel game, nothing special. And then when the video played, I was like, that is one of the most beautiful games I've seen in a long time. Because the trouble is, pixel art is dead to me. Like, everyone does it. And then for them to go, we're doing the same, but we're going to make it look different. And they achieved that. That game is, to me, I need to see more, but I think I'm getting that on day one. And then the other big announcement was Xbox original games backwards compatibility, which I think's cracking. So once eventually all the 360 games and the original ones are all onto the Xbox One, it means you can have an Xbox One, One S, One X, all the games play within the ecosystem and all the older games play in the ecosystem. And I think it's a smart move for Microsoft to just go, you just need any of our consoles and we can play any of our games. And hell, if you've got a PC, you can chuck it onto that as well. So I think they're doing really, really well with that. But that being said, the indie games are strong. The Xbox is a powerhouse. I am still disappointed we didn't see this graphical porn to showcase off this beast of a console that they've just produced. Wow, I've spoke 14 minutes on one conference. Fuck me, this is going to be a long one to edit. So let's just jump in there and smash through. We've got PlayStation, who's got God of War. Looks fantastic. Never played one before, but it looks like it's a title that I need to start playing. So I'm going to be jumping on God of War. Uncharted's new DLC. It looks like an Uncharted DLC. It looks very, very nice. I will play it. I won't get it on launch because I just come off Uncharted 4. So I'm going to wait 6 months to a year for that buzz to die down. So when I actually jump onto it, it'll be fresh and new. Detroit Become Human. Oh, now this is a title I am super excited for and so glad that I've jumped onto the PlayStation bandwagon now, so I'm looking forward to that. Spider-Man, one of the biggest titles for everybody, the one I'm least interested in because I'm not that bothered about comic book related games. It does look graphically nice and it looks like it plays well with the combat and everything you can do, but it's Spider-Man, I'm not a big fan. And then one of the things I enjoyed the most, Horizon Zero Dawn DLC. I have never been excited for DLC in my life. And when I completed Horizon Zero Dawn, my first thing was, please say there's some DLC. I went to the store, there's nothing. I googled it, nothing announced, and I was like, oh, this is going to be the one game that doesn't do DLC, and I actually want it, and they've announced it, so I'm super excited. I watched the trailer once. I can't actually remember anything about it. I think it's because I was squealing down the headset, but I don't need to look at it. I've got so much confidence in that game that I'll actually go blindly into buying that DLC. Then we've got Days Gone, which is another title I am so excited for on the PlayStation. I like the idea. It's obviously zombies, but also surviving. And the thing is, the zombie genre is a bit stale at the moment. Everyone's doing the same kind of shit. But I like the movement of the zombies when he set off a bomb and they kind of hoarded together to run in and actually attack everybody. It felt more like how zombies act in movies than they're doing computer games, which is great. So I'm really, really looking forward to that one. You've got GT Sports. It's a driving game. You know what I mean? They're hit and miss. I'm not that bothered about driving games. Got Monster Hunter World. Now, Monster Hunter even. Now, this is a game I've never played before, and when it was announced, I was like, ooh, this is looking interesting. And the fact that I can play it online with the friends, I was like, I hope all my friends want to play this too. And I asked them, and all of them went, yes, we are fucking getting that. So that is a game that's getting got. And then you've got Shadow of the Colossus, which is not the HD remake, but a complete rebuild of the game. And I say great to that. A few people are like, fucking hell again. But I never got around to playing it, and I know they did a remaster as such, but for them to build it from the ground up for PlayStation 4, I'm really excited for that, and I will definitely be getting it, because it's one of them titles I feel like I've missed out on. So apart from that, they've got some VR stuff that they announced, like the Impatient and Bravo Team. Impatient excited me more than Bravo Team. Bravo Team still feels like it's one of these. It feels like VR is still in the early stages. So nothing super exciting, but I'm glad to keep pumping them out, keep doing it, PlayStation. Show the developers that there is a market for VR, and then hopefully more people will come. And then when I do decide to don the VR headset, I will have a plethora of games. So yeah, keep cracking on. But overall, PlayStation conference, there wasn't loads announced that I didn't know about. They kind of pretty much just says, this is all the games that we've already spoke about, but here's some footage of them, and it's made me super excited. So overall, I think it was a good conference from PlayStation. Then we've got Nintendo, which was lackluster. We got to see some Xenoblades, Fire Emblem Warriors, and they announced Metroid 4, which everyone lost their shit. But it was just a picture of the words Metroid 4. And what pisses me off is, don't get me wrong, they've announced something everybody wants, and it's probably going to be a cracking game. That's fine. It's the fact that so many people is like, oh my god, Nintendo's won E3. Like, you can't show a splash screen and then say they won the day. And the other thing that is weird is, like, Nintendo didn't have enough to show off at the conference. They're showing like Yoshi and stuff like that, and Kirby, but they did say, and these are in the works. So they just kind of just peppered down a few things that they're working on. Whereas over at Xbox, I was disappointed because they didn't show me enough new IPs. But then Phil Spencer's gone on record saying we have actually got a lot of things in the works. But with Scalebound, how that turned to shit and the game just disappeared. He's learnt that not to announce titles until they're a bit more fleshed out. And I've spoke to a few people on Twitch about it, and I kind of agree, yeah, don't announce it until you know it's definitely happening. But I would have liked him to announce a few more titles. So on one hand, you've got Nintendo that's just giving you pictures, and then on the other end, you've got Microsoft that's got something in the works, but they're too scared to announce it until it's actually 100% concrete. So it's a mixed bag. One's doing too much, one's doing too less. But overall, it was as good and bad as I expected for Nintendo. It's a new console, and we're still waiting for them to catch up and get these games. So yeah, it was so-so. Then we have EA, which is pretty much just all sports. I'm not bothered about. They've shown us some Star Wars Battlefront. I don't like Star Wars. That game looks so fucking good. I might have to buy it. I played a little bit of the first one, and I quite enjoyed it, but I thought I'm not committing coin. But I might have to do it on this one. It's looking very good. Need for Speed, it looks okay. It's Need for Speed. But there is another car game I'll talk about in a moment that I think I need to purchase before committing to the Need for Speed. But the big thing that surprised me was A Way Out, which is by the people who did Brothers, and it's a co-op game set in a prison, and it's made me go, I definitely need that game. So very good from EA for giving me a few titles I wasn't expecting. Ubisoft, I think they did quite well this year. I didn't expect them to do as good as they did. You got your Just Dance shit like normal. Then you got Beyond Good and Evil 2, which is a game that I kind of gave up on ages ago. It was announced that it was coming, and then nothing. And then they've shown us, which pretty much just looks like cutscenes. But I'm not bothered about it. What they were selling me is the universe and the characters and this kind of world that I'm going to be running around in, and it set the tone of the game, and it's made me gone, this is very, very interesting, and I need to play this game. Never played the first one, so I might have to correct that problem, but nonetheless, that looks very, very good. And then Skull and Bones, which looks really good. It's pretty much Black Flag, the ship sailing part, ripped out, fully fledged and turned into its own game, which isn't a bad thing. But it's annoying that you wait for a boat game and two come along at once. I've got Sea of Thieves, and now we've got the I forgot the name, Skull and Bones. So yeah, but they look like two kind of games. One's off to run around with your friends and hunt treasure and do stupid shit, and the other one is sea battles. But yes, I do want that. Another title I wasn't expecting. You got Starlink, looks okay. Far Cry 5 looks fucking lovely, jubbler, which I'm glad about, because I was worried that, because we know what Ubisoft are, they kind of churn out a lot of the same stuff, just changing maps, like Assassin's Creed, and it felt a bit like that for the Far Cry series. But this one looks like it's fleshed out a bit more. Only time will tell, but it feels like they've given me enough reason to want to buy this game instead of just going, new map, everybody. And then on top of it, they had the Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which on paper should make you go, no, this is a fucking terrible idea, what are you doing? And then they're showing you the footage and you go, it's XCOM. It looks awesome. So that is probably one of the titles I didn't expect to like, and I will end up picking up. So that brings us to the last, I would say not least, but it was shit, and that is Bethesda. Now, they announced, yes, Evil Within and Wolfenstein 2, but it's not their titles, they're just publishers, and they didn't develop this. So them themselves have just turned around and gone, Skyrim, again, for the Switch. So more Skyrim. And then mods for Skyrim. And then Fallout 4 VR. And it's made me kind of get a little bit worried for them, because yes, they make a hell of a lot of money with these IPs. But I was expecting by now them to announce a new game they're working on themselves. But it seems like they're spending all their time and effort making just DLC and paid mods for the same kind of games, and by all means do that, but please be working on something else. So I'm worried that they're getting a bit too comfortable, and the thing is, it's one of the things like Skyrim and Far Cry, they're wooden as shit. Like, they're good. Well, I'll say that, I'm not going to go into the Skyrim rant, but Far Cry Fallout, I enjoyed it. It was really, really good. It felt like they built a bit more on, well, in fact, the idea of doing the settlements was awesome. I really, really liked that. But the game still looks a tad bit dated. The dialogue between the characters is still wooden. And when I saw Metro come out, the first thing I said was, this is how Far Cry should be now, graphically. And I know it's not about graphics, but it feels like they are not moving with the times. And I'm worried that they pretty much put all their eggs in one basket and gone, please keep buying the same shit. And it's pissing me off. So overall, Bethesda was the worst conference out of all of them. Oh, and so that is pretty much it. 24 minutes. And I think I'm going to probably edit it down to 24 minutes because I didn't stop during that rant. Well, it's not a rant, it's just my 2 cents on it. But overall, I feel like it wasn't the most amazing one. There wasn't millions of titles announced. A lot of it was showing us stuff we already knew. But there was some gems in there I didn't expect. And there is the highs of some AAAs like Anthem. And there also is these indie gems in there as well, like The Last Night. And there's some of the kiddie games in there. So it felt like there was a good selection of stuff. But when it comes down to how good the conferences was, like, I think PlayStation was pretty much a safe one. It was just giving us more what we expect, and they've done that, and I think it was quite good. Xbox, they did announce some titles which I'm happy with. They've given us some extra features, but overall I'm disappointed with Xbox because I wanted this powerhouse of a game to just showcase the console and justify me fucking buying one, which they didn't do. EA, I expected it to just be sports titles, and it was sports titles, shooting, and a bit more, so EA did better than I expected. And then Bethesda is the only one which made me go, ugh, that's not so good. And Nintendo, sorry, they was as I expected them to be. So that is pretty much me done and dusted. So that is my 2 cents on E3. Sorry this wasn't a proper rant video, but there is no way I can sit there and actually pick apart and have a good rant about all those titles because it's way too much information. But the other thing was, there wasn't as much cringe this year as I expected. There was a few bits, a few missed high fives, but it wasn't super heavy on the cringe it has been over the past years by getting kids out and stuff. There was a few bits, but it wasn't as strong in the past years. But it feels like I'm going to have to wait until the next E3 to be able to justify a Xbox One X purchase, which has surprised me, but it's also saved me a lot of money, so I can't fully moan. So that's me done and dusted, guys. I'm going to love you and leave you, and I hope you all enjoyed E3, but in the comments let us know what's the biggest surprise title or the thing you're most excited about. For me, I'm going to have to say I really like Anthem, but last night even, I can't speak, I'm done. That's it. We've finished. Thanks for watching.